Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey guys, it's Debbie, and have you used a CGM before? CGM is continuous glucose monitor, and there's different options out there. Ideally, you can get it from your doctor, but they seem to just want to wait until you're type 2 diabetic and not be preventative. I would like us to take ownership of our health and make choices now to prevent having high, low glucose readings and optimize your health from the inside out by testing and not guessing. And that includes a CGM that goes on for 14 days, and you can order one via NutriSense. And a CGM is giving you glucose updates with a small device in the back of your arm 24/7. Totally easy. I actually did a video on my YouTube channel, Low Carb Athlete, how to apply this CGM. First time, you're kind of scared, but it doesn't hurt. But it gives you real-time glucose readings. Glucose response to meals. You'll learn about what foods are reactive to you, and that could be a healthy food that you think is great, but it could raise your glucose. Simple things as stevia, for me, raise my glucose. Chewing gum, raise my glucose. Stress, when I'm driving a car and there's traffic, raises my glucose. Every stress response is a glucose response. So learn how to manage your stress. Learn how to pick right foods for you, unless you can, do other lab testing and figure out vibrant wellness food zoomers, but it's kind of expensive for people. So if you can wear a CGM, it's a great way to learn about stress, food, exercise, stacking movement with your nutrition. Figure out how to balance your blood sugar. So we want to learn more about how to exercise and eat or not eat. And morning cortisol, does it raise your glucose? If there's hidden stressors at nighttime, does your glucose go up higher while you're sleeping? So it gives us lots of clues that we can put in our investigation when we are working on your personalized fueling, training, and performance program to improve fat loss, performance, and longevity. So head to NutriSense website, nutrisense.io, how it works. You can learn more about your habits, your routines, your relationship to food, a little bit more. Great app to use, and it can sync on to different programs, so you can put it all together. So if you want to get started with your journey in NutriSense, I suggest this to all my clients. Use at least 30 days. So you can do a 30-day, 90-day, different programs, but you can pick which one you want. You get the sensor in the mail, put it on, lasts for 14 days, sync it to the app, and get your readings on there. And then if you're doing my VIP coaching program, I'm working with you to correlate this data together. So begin your health optimization journey with NutriSense, and you can save on your order with our code, as usual, Low Carb Athlete. So no carbs is not our goal, it's carb timing, and using NutriSense, you can help figure out your nutrient-dense whole food plan and when to adjust your macros based on your exercise intensity, duration, based on your life stressors, and learn more. So it's nice to have this data. So test and not guess with NutriSense. Let me know how you like it. Hey, it's Debbie, and I'm finally doing one of my solo video podcasts. So if you haven't gone to YouTube, check out my solo podcast playlist I have to help you fuel, train, and perform your best as an endurance athlete, aging athlete, really focusing on how we can improve fat loss if that's a goal, performance if that's a goal, and or longevity. And as I become an aging athlete, I think of myself as 45 years old, but now I'm 51. And I really am focused on improving the second half of my life. My previous life, I was a competitive endurance athlete, did many Ironmans, 15 Ironmans. I did many marathons, Boston marathons, lots of half marathons, 50K trail runs. I love North Face, 50K run in December in San Francisco in the mountains there, Marin Headlands. And now I'm just training, but not really racing. I'm training for life. So I still swim, bike, and run. Did some half marathons here in North San Diego last year, and might do a triathlon sometime soon. Olympic distance is what I'm thinking about, but I just don't have the drive to do a full Ironman anymore. Just even a half Ironman. I watched Oceanside the other weekend, and it looked a little bit too much for me. I did so many of them for so many years and just can't go there. So let's pull up PNOE metabolic testing. What I want to touch on, what I'm going to start doing, because as you know me a little bit, test and not guess. And how do we know how to train to improve performance and longevity if we don't know our right training zones, and if we don't know how to focus our time, more endurance, more strength training, more HIIT training? What is right? It is not one size fits all. We need to narrow it down and figure out what you as an individual needs to do. So when we do PNOE metabolic testing, we do an active test. If you want to do it on a bike or a treadmill or the Airdyne type of bike or rowing machine, it's whatever you train on. If you're a triathlete, we want to do a bike test and a run test because those zones will be different. So we're going to look at mental health, heart health, lung health, cellular health with our metabolic testing. And once you do the test, you get this really cool report on your results based on many different metrics that we measure through the test: aerobic health, cardiovascular fitness, high intensity performance, recovery, fat burning, movement, metabolic rate, expiratory, breathing cognition, breathing stability, respiratory coordination. So this cool chart, and then it goes through and it will tell you, and we go over this with a consultation. If you find someone near you that does PNOE, P-N-O-E, metabolic testing cart, it comes in a little suitcase so I can travel with it. But you can find someone near you if you don't want to come to San Diego, meet me. But super cool report: fat burning efficiency, why it matters, how to improve it; movement economy, example, why it matters, how to improve it. So we can figure out what your areas of opportunity are or limiters and create a personalized program based on that. So we'll get all this information on you. Biological age, we can find out based on your VO2 max, fat burning efficiency rate, and metabolic rate. So we can tell biological age versus chronological age by collecting that data. And then we'll get all these graphs and charts, and then each measurement, as aerobic health, it will tell you how to improve it, recommendations, lifestyle, nutrition. So I'm not going to dive into all of it, but just check out that on my website, debbiepotts.net, under PNOE, and you'll see the sample report. Then at the end, what I think is pretty cool for the nutrition test is the resting test. You'll get a different report, but this is for the exercise test, and it can help you figure out with your coach or with me, for my clients, how much should we divide our time between cardio training, say zone 2, resistance training, and interval training, zone 4 or 5. But then we can create a program: resistance training, interval training, cardio program training. So we can create, okay, how many sessions of zone 2 should you need? Interval training, what length of intervals are best for you, how to do it. And then we figure out when, and now we know the why you need to work on that. So intervals, cardio, resistance training. And then what I love about this is the exercise test, you're going to get the training zone. So this is a sample report. Zone 5, here's what your heart rate is based on your test results. Watts, if you did it on the bike or the Airdyne type of bike or the rowing machine, anything with watts, we can do the test on there versus a treadmill. We'll do a protocol, 2% grade, simulate outdoor running, and then look at the speed, then the benefits and what that feels like, and when to use this zone: short intervals, zone 5, zone 4, medium intervals, heavy endurance, zone 3, longer intervals, zone 2 is your base training, and then zone 1 is recovery. So something I will throw in there, because I was just redoing my videos on PNOE education for coaching and testing with PNOE metabolic testing cart. zone 5, zone 4, if you are doing high intensity interval training, it's so essential to come back down to zone 1. And I know some people call this rest-based training or recovery-based training, that you're coming all the way back down to your zone 1 before you go hard again. I see this in track workouts. I see this when people doing HIIT workout in the gym. For example, we were doing 800-meter repeats on the track in our track group the other week. And people are doing 800 and then 1 full lap recovery. And then they start again. I got behind because I needed to get my heart rate back down in my zone 1 before I started again. People were jogging that full 400 and then they kind of stop, regroup, and then start the next 800. To me, I can't go hard again until I get heart rate down. I don't know, people, I don't think they were going their full potential in the 800 because they didn't recover in between. So remember, interval training, so zone 4 would be the 800-meter repeats, medium intervals. You want to be sure to come down to zone 1. So anyways, just a thought I had yesterday. So looking at your training zones, we'll figure that out. Super fascinating. Energy consumption and fueling. So zone 5, for example, this is a sample test. Your fat burn percent and your carb burn, and the average, low end, and upper end. So then we can figure out if you are training, this is what fuel plan you need. If you are racing, here's what heart rate zone you'll probably be in, depending on the duration of the race. If it's a sprint or Olympic distance triathlon versus a half versus a full, it's going to be different. And we can really dial in your nutrition with this data. And then we can make sure we retest, say, every quarter, and then get different zones and figure out your training again. So then we hop over. I had these windows open, S-Fuels, really good information on sfuels.com. You can figure out their nutrition timing, carb timing, and figure out what you need to do based on what we found out in your heart zones, what numbers work best for you to burn the most fat. In your zone 2, it's going to be your peak fat. The zone 2 will be based on your peak fat burning rate and then your crossover point. So when your fat is going down, the carb usage goes up. That range will be your zone 2. Then you can figure out, as you can look on S-Fuels, when is it appropriate to fuel. If you're racing, it wouldn't be zone 2. When you add in some different fuel sources as a S-Fuels race and gel powder, or you're doing S-Fuels train if you're doing a zone 2 workout. So we want to look at carb-centric fueling, the differences of that versus what they call an S-Fuels right time, right fuel, when you know your fat ox race. And this is why I really wanted to start testing people, even though I'm new to North San Diego and Seattle, Bellevue. I knew a lot of people. It'd be easier to start new business. So if you know anyone in North San Diego, tell them to reach out, Debbie Potts. So right time, right fuel. This means we're going to figure out where we're burning the most fats with the metabolic test, and then time your fueling, what fuel to have. Because as I keep talking about strategic carb timing as optimal fat metabolism, OFM, Peter Defty talks about when to add in those carbohydrates, just as S-Fuels does with their S-Fuels Race Plus. So we have fat ox optimization, enhanced endurance, mitochondria, muscle synthesis with this zone 2 training where we burn the most fat. So when we do your metabolic test at rest, we can see what fuel source you're going to use, ideally fat. But if you're not, we're going to change your training and your fueling program, your nutrition, and look at fasting. Not too much, not too little for the athletes, and the female athletes, very different how we fast. Now, this is all for athletes. Remember all the information we're hearing out there, how to eat, when to add in carbs, zero carbs, carnivore, whatever. I don't think it's always for the athlete when you're racing as well as training a lot. So we might need to eat a little bit more. We want to get that protein. So here's at sfuels.com. You can get this great 15-page report, the best time to improve fat ox. So their research shows, studies suggest that a diet including medium chain fats and carbohydrates 6 weeks prior to endurance capacity test can increase Key enzyme activities of the Krebs cycle, which is your cellular energy production and ketone utilization oxidation. In these controlled animal tests, not human, but animal tests, endurance capacity was extended by 11%, and muscle glycogen concentration was 20% greater than the control animals. I'm sure the control animals, that means mice. So further studies involving pre-feeding of medium chain fats have also shown improvements twofold in endurance running capacity, specifically in higher temperature environments. The study revealed that key enzyme markers of skeletal muscle mitochondria biogenesis and the respiratory chain were notably upregulated by the consumption of medium chain fats. It is also worth noting that negative signaling for mitochondria biogenesis was inhibited by medium chain fats. All in all, MCT would seem to offer some protective effect against heat impairment to exercise endurance capacity. So the best time to improve fat oxidation and is the right time and the right fuel, the best fats to improve efficiency and performance based on S fuels research. And this is with EndureIQ, Dr. Dan Plews. Cycling studies had subjects ride 2 hours at 60% VO2 max and followed up by a 40K time trial study. Athletes added MCT fats to carb fuels and improved performance. Furthermore, finishing time trial athletes, they had higher plasma fatty acid ketone levels, either direct and indirect reduction in oxidized glycogen, suggestive of glycogen sparing effect. So they were able to burn a higher percentage of fat and spare their muscle glycogen storage. Then another study in cross-country skiers, researchers reconfirmed that long-chain fat ox was suppressed in high-intensity exercise. Medium-chain fat oxidation was not. All lows of 80% VO2 max serum levels of medium-chain fats increased. This is thought to occur since medium-chain fats like C8 and C10, caprylic acid, can traverse membranes without carriers as required by long-chain fats. Other studies have also shown that increased speed of oxidation of medium-chain fats compared to long-chain fats, mono and polyunsaturated fats. So the medium-chain fats, you want to look for the C8 and C10. So you can continue on to read this. I won't read it all to you, but look on S Fuels and you can get a discount with our low carb athlete fuel on your S Fuels purchase and try out their fuel when you are training in zone 2, looking at S Fuels Train. If you're doing a higher intensity workout or doing more race pace work, that's when you want to time in a little bit more carb fuel as with their race fuel. So key takeaways: increase fat and lower carbohydrates in the diet in training, say 6 to 8 weeks prior to your race, is the best leverage to the efficiency and benefit of improved fat oxidation. Caffeine will further raise fat oxidation, and pre-exercise carbohydrate consumption will reduce fat oxidation. So if you listen to my previous videos on S Fuels and EndureIQ, Dr. Dan Plews, carb timing before a race is not included in race day morning. You wait to have those carbs when you start exercising, so you have that GLUT for transport system. So you are exercising to get the carb glucose into the muscle. That shuttling in starts when the motor starts running, I think of it. Once you start exercising, you can do that. But pre-workout, no. We want to limit those carbs on a race day so you can optimize your fat oxidation. So higher consumption of long-chain fats may impair oxidation efficiency of carbohydrates. Medium-chain triglycerides as a C8, C10, and C12 included as an exercise fuel has shown to most promise in improved endurance performance, glycogen sparing capacity, and accelerated gastric emptying of carbohydrate fuel drinks. So that is why S Fuels in their train, you can see ingredients, has glutamine, help you from your gut dysfunction we get, coconut oil, collagen peptides, natural flavors, Himalayan rock salt, citric acid, malic acid, monk fruit extract is the sweetener. So that has 1 gram of carbohydrates, total of 4 grams of fat, and 3 grams of protein, and only 50 calories per scoop. So this S Fuels Train will not be giving you a lot of calories, obviously. So this is something you would do on, say, a 2-3 hour bike ride, and you just need a little bit of fuel to keep you going, but help you get through a good fat burning workout. So the coconut-based MCT oil in the S Fuels Train is bound to collagen, not maltodextrin, to provide calorie fuel and to train and trigger the lipoic enzyme for fat oxidation efficiency. The MCT forms used in S Fuels Train as a C8-C10 is shown to be the most rapid assimilation and oxidation forms and traversing cell membranes most efficiently due to the lower carbon chain size. So if you really want to geek out on how this works, that explains it in this handout. And it has the right electrolyte balance and the fat carb oxidation and gut distress mitigation because it doesn't have the added sugar, sucrose, fructose, glucose, maltodextrin, syrups, or other sugar alcohols. And I know that bothers a lot of people's gut when they're exercising. So this is a good way to avoid the sugar alcohols and lower use of carb sources, and dramatically reduces the risk of gut membrane and microbiome derangement and associated with gut GI stress symptoms often seen in endurance, racing, and training. So that's why I really like S Fuels Train for a lot of clients. So you just add 1 scoop in your water bottle and add that with the cold water and have that on your bike, consuming 1 serving for every 30 minutes of sustained activity, and testing and training. Nothing on race day should be new. Now, their other product you can look at is their S Fuels Plus. So if I'm starting to do more HIIT training, I'm going to be doing some zone 4, zone 5 intervals, then we can add in this Race Plus. So check out the Race Plus. Interesting information on here, and also they can make it into a gel if you'd rather a gel. So that has 22 grams of carbs, 5 grams of protein, 6 grams of fat, and the Race Plus powder you can add in your drink mix, 4 grams of fat, 15 grams of carbs, 3 grams of protein. So something to think about if you're trying to figure out fueling. Now you can learn more on Peter Defty's website. Optimal Fat Metabolism explains the difference of the keto versus fat metabolism. So this just came out. Peter and Tony talk about carb restriction. And that's what I try to share too on this website podcast. And my coaching program is not zero carbs, or not saying that carbs are all evil. You have to time them if necessary. So I know a lot of people are strict keto and they're doing carnivore. I have done that for a long time, not strict carnivore, but more kind of intuitive fueling, focusing on my protein, which I want to touch on today. And I think it's looking at what works best for you. I don't like being so strict, and I like to eat real food. Ideally, avoid all the processed foods is our goal. What foods to have that are carbs? I've been doing a little bit more, which I never did before because I thought there were too many carbs. I was so strict in the past of eating any carbs, and I have really low thyroid and low cortisol. So my hormones are all really low. So I'm very experimental now on what does this make me feel better? So looking at maybe some russet potatoes cooked thinly and broiled with some bacon fat works really good with lots of sea salt, and having those with a steak is really filling to me. Now, I can't eat the protein before I work out unless I time it, say 3 hours before I go work out. So what to eat, when to eat is what I work with individually with clients. But back to what Peter talks about, some of the information points discussed in this recent blog post and video he does. There is a place for ketosis, but it's about balancing carb and fat intake for high performance. OFM, optimal fat metabolism, helps with getting back to natural, intuitive way of eating and trusting the body's signals, which is what I talk about: intuitive fueling, intuitive training. Listen to your body. If you need a little bit more carbs, you probably need that. If you are craving chocolate, for example, you probably need magnesium. So listening to your body, what it's craving might be what it needs more of. Now, metabolic health is crucial for avoiding the reliance on medication and medical systems in the same way it cuts reliance on external carbohydrates for energy. Fat is critical for your cellular health, your hormones, your mitochondria, and how exercise, they discuss sunlight exposure, strategic carbs, stress management are crucial, as I talk about all the time, in optimal health. Now, they mentioned sunlight exposure in this video blog. I think it's really important to get that morning sunshine. If you listen to Huberman Lab podcast and Peter Attia, Ben Greenfield, we've talked about this for years. Sorry, my nose keeps running, allergies here. That you are getting outside upon waking and getting movement as a morning exercise session, or if you have 5 minutes only, get outside and see that morning sunshine without your sunglasses on. I see people when I'm working out in the morning, it's 7 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, and they have sunglasses on. The sun's not high at that time. So you can get exposure to that morning sunshine and help your circadian rhythm reset, get the melatonin down, and cortisol should be up highest in the morning, and get your sleep-wake cycle set. So important part, don't wear sunglasses in the morning. Put a hat on. Okay. The other thing they talked about too, of course, is stress management. And we've talked about that many times on my show for years. And strategic carbohydrates, I keep talking about, having more of those nature's carbs in your evening meal if you're going to do a hard workout in the morning. And also timing, as I did today. I didn't do a very good job eating in 30 minutes after I work out, but morning I did an easy run and lift, and then I'm swimming at lunchtime. I have to time that I'm eating. I have between 8 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. when I go swimming, what to eat when there. Because if I eat too close to swimming, well, I don't digest it and it's not working well when I'm swimming, burping up what I ate. So I need to make sure I don't intuitively fast until 10 a.m., which I can do sometimes, and then eat something. I can't eat that protein. So you have to figure out what kind of carbs, or having a Keon bar or Laird's bar is what I end up doing, or some bacon with that. So strategic carb timing, lots of info on Peter's website. Another thing they talked about big is what I share a lot, not becoming carb phobic, and how reaching your natural physiology requires an individualized approach to fat adaptation. And I agree 100% with Peter on this, and talked previously with him on our own podcast series that metabolic health, to optimize metabolic health, can reverse chronic disease, improve longevity, and help you attain higher health and peak performance as an athlete, active individual. Super essential. But as I share what happened to me, not just adrenal exhaustion, HP axis dysfunction back 2013, but I think it took me so long to get better because I take one step forward, 2 steps back, because as I said, I was fasting too much. I was doing OMAD and exercising 2-3 times a day. I was not getting any carbs. I was strict keto. Well, when I got adrenal fatigue, I was doing serious keto back in, 2009, doing bulletproof coffee all morning. 2012, I raced my best ever, but 2013, everything was broken and burned out. So really finding that Goldilocks effect, not too much fasting, not too long, really working on having a good relationship with carbohydrates so you're not scared of them, as I feel like I was just all carbs are bad. And even fruit, I would get a headache from fruit, but now I think I'm healed myself more. I can tolerate some berries, and it's not eating junk food, and packaged keto foods are garbage. So looking at this other website, examine.com, Huberman talks about this all the time, to look up supplements, research. It's pretty amazing website. It's my new fave. So you can check out examine.com and look up supplements and look up the research on it and find out all this information on, say, berberine. Should I have berberine? What are the research studies on it? So they link PubMed articles to get all these studies correlated to berberine. So we hear about berberine, we hear about taking curcumin. I've researched a lot lately, vitamin D, D3K2, fish oil for inflammation, but ashwagandha, creatine, these are all huge supplements out right now. But are they good for you? Do you need them? When should you take them? So I would do this. This is what I do for my clients. Dive into all their supplements you're taking, do a supplement audit, ideally do their functional lab tests with them and figure out, okay, do you need this right now? Do you need this every day or just once in a while and cycle it in and out? And then how much is the dosage? And what does research say is necessary? How much should you take? But what I found on here is a really cool protein intake calculator. So you can go to examine.com. There's an article here on protein. As we say all the time, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon and other people, 1 gram of protein per ideal body weight. Used to be, well, people still say 0.8 times your body weight. Depends what formula you're looking at, if it's kilograms or pound, but there's different formulas out there. But I like just keep it simple. If you are using pounds, you're looking at how many grams. So say you're getting 100 grams or more protein a day. And so there's research on here on protein intake, because I think we're all coming to the conclusion is that muscle is an organ of longevity. You can't just get keto all fat. You need to do more keto carnivore or primal paleo or whatever you want to call real food diet that's nutrient dense. And that should be focused on hitting your protein macros and getting the essential fatty acids in your diet to keep you full and satiated. Now, the carbs are what we tweak based on your exercise load that day. Rest day intake will be different than a high intensity day versus a long endurance day. So we want to tweak the carb intake, but the protein is what I start people with. Let's look at how much protein you need. And this article talks about, is it 30 to 50 grams at once, or what can we do? So say you're trying to hit 100, 150 grams a day of protein. Well, you need to hit 30 to 50 grams of protein at one sitting and digest that. So every 4 hours, you're getting that intake of protein. So that's why I've been putting some protein powder in a grass fed, just using Brad's, or if I have Paleo Valley, or there's a Quip, Keon, there's all sorts of different kinds, because a lot of clients can't do whey. So you might need the beef protein or bone broth protein, or a good vegan one that has the right combination to get the amino acid profile up. So we want to look at how to get your protein in. And then there's the optimal protein guide here. If you go to examine.com, guides protein intake, super cool calculator. How much protein do you need in a day? Then optimal daily for sedentary, for athletes, for muscle gain, for fat loss. So I thought this was a good share. And you can click on it and look at the optimal daily protein intake for athletes. Or if you're trying to improve performance, I'm trying to get leaner, stronger, faster. So, getting, say, well, what's your body weight? Say 150 pounds, kilograms at 68 pounds. The lower end is 95 grams of protein, higher end is 106 grams. So it's a little bit less, but that Dr. Gabrielle talks about. That is good guidelines for athletes and active adults. Body composition, performance, and recovery. That's using 1.4 to 2.0 grams per kilogram, or 0.64 to 0.91 grams per pound of body fat. And you want to look for the upper end of the range. So goal for muscle gain, you should probably go a little bit higher than that. So that's another chart here, the lower end and higher end, trying to hit that higher end. You're going, say, 163 grams of protein per day if you're 150 pounds. So good article to look at. You can save that one and check that out. So S fuels you can find. We've got ofm.io, understanding differences between keto and optimal fat metabolism article. And then PNOE Metabolic Testing. You go to my website, find out your zones. You can look at Dr. Stacy Sims' articles that she's not a fan of keto, but I know she's focused on protein, and really getting in the carbs needed for women are going to be different than men. So Premenopausal is going to be different than postmenopausal, but she's all the same as Dr. Gabrielle Lyon about the protein intake and healthy fats and getting real food carbs, ideally, but focusing on strength training and short intensity interval training is something you'll hear Stacey Sims talk about. She has her updated book on premenopausal women called Roar, coming out this year, 2023. But strength training, lifting heavy stuff, 5 to 8 reps, and doing short intensity interval sprints as 30 seconds all out is an important part. And that would be going back to my PNOE test. What is your zone 5 would be the short intervals. That's improve VO2 max, enhances fat burning efficiency, cellular health, increase fatigue threshold. So if you are trying to get faster and stronger as I am, I need zone 2, fat burning efficiency, cellular health, improve recovery capacity, stay here a long time, should feel super easy. But then I need to alternate that with zone 5 workouts, or even place some zone 5 sprints at the end of my zone 2 workouts if you're short on time. So, but zone 5, I don't feel that energetic every day. So I have to, when you feel it can go hard, that's when you want to add those in. So, because it feels impossible to continue completely out of breath and unable to talk, that would be all sprint. They're hard to do. So you need to figure out, maybe women, map out your menstrual cycle, your ovulation days before and after. Maybe that's when you're feeling more invincible, and not doing them late luteal phase. And then men, you guys always feel good, it seems like. So women, we're kind of up and down throughout the month, obviously. So we want to match that. And then if you are a client, we're doing a hormone panel, I look at people's Dutch test and look at, okay, if they're really low or high cortisol, different times of the day, morning, mid-morning, afternoon, when is optimal time for you to do sprint workout? And if is it appropriate for you based on your hormones? But then look at the time of day. And then of course, when can you work out? Is sometimes we don't have that option to be flexible. So anyways, those are some thoughts today. Check out these different articles. And also I found this last article on low carb diet needs boosts training, and really focus on getting that protein. I think we get to focus on fat and we forgot about protein, and then we think all carbs are evil and forget about good healthy carbs as sweet potatoes, russet potatoes. And I saw this great food show the other day of making your potatoes, but peel the skin, and then you can fry the potato skins and maybe broil them so they're kind of like potato chips, but they're just the skins of the potato, and you put sea salt and stuff on them, maybe some bacon on top, some good fresh cream or sour cream. So this was another article on medicalexpress.com, getting your protein intake and making sure you're getting the amino acids. I did find another article on glycine to go through another day, but really looking at your amino acid profile so you're getting the right nutrients post-workout and getting that glycine. So that's why I do a lot of bone broth with my clients. So if you have questions and want a more personalized fueling, training, and performance program to improve fat loss, performance, and longevity, let me know, debbiepotts.net, and we can dive in. So that's some thoughts for today. Hope you enjoy the day. Let me know if you have questions, debbiepotts.net.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us to continue to grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.